Welcome to Entrepreneur S.O.S. with your hosts, Sandy Colling and Monique Mull. Today, we are discussing the importance of self-care and stress management for entrepreneurs and tips to avoid burnout. Before we jump in, a little bit about who we are. We focus on the challenges that online entrepreneurs face every day. We provide practical and real-life stories from successful business owners who have navigated the digital landscape. Whether you're struggling with time management, marketing, social media, or technology, we're here to help you tackle those obstacles that are standing in your way. In this digital age, the world of entrepreneurship is more complex than before, and we want to help you stay ahead of that curve. So tune in each week to learn how to grow your business to new heights. And don't forget, subscribe and leave a review. By doing this, you'll help us reach more entrepreneurs who are looking for solutions just like you. So good to see you, Sandy. It's been a while.
I know. Greetings from New York. I'm in a different location. I'm excited that we can do this from anywhere in the world, right?
It's
so
great.
Here
it's
we
so
are.
Great. And I'm coming back from a little hiatus. I went to Hawaii
for 19 days.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a long time. It's a long time, but yeah, it was great. It was super pretty. So I'm excited to talk about this topic because, as you know, this is a topic that is super near and dear to my personal story and my personal background. So I'm excited to talk about this today because I think this is something that plagues a lot of entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Burnout is a real thing. And I used to, honestly, I used to hear about it and I was always like, what's all the fuss? But when you've experienced it, it is a real thing for sure.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And I think I had a burnout, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, because I didn't have all the symptoms that you did, but I know you really went through it. So why don't you share with us a little bit about, first of all, how did you realize you were going through it?
Okay, so here's a clue, guys. I didn't at first. And I'm going to be honest, this happened to me more than once. It was like a repeat problem in my life. And that's the thing, you don't always know the signs because you're so in the thick of it. But some of the things that I'm looking back at now and reflecting on how burnout came, if I would have seen the signs or maybe understood the signs better, I would have been able to deflect it. One was lack of complete motivation. I just didn't want to do what I was doing. I felt like I could do anything else but this today. I just was so unmotivated, so uninspired in my life in general. And that carried over to my whole life. It wasn't just about waking up and doing my job. It was about, I didn't want to do anything. I was super uninspired.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm sure there's some people that say, I wake up every morning and I don't feel motivated. Little different.
Well, then you should probably try something different in the entrepreneur world. I'm just going to say that. But
exactly.
It really did make that was a big part of it. The other thing was there was this constant state of anxiety in me. I always felt anxious about what I was doing. And I felt like I constantly had to be working. It was almost like FOMO, right? I had this fear of missing out that if I didn't do it, the whole world would come crumbling down. And so I was constantly working because I had this fear and lack of belief that if I didn't, that I wouldn't achieve. And then I think the other part of it was I started to really shut down just personally. I became more crabby. I came I guess depressed in a way. I really shut down. My energy levels were really low. I had a hard time sleeping. I had a hard time finding joy in life itself. And I mean, if you're starting to experience that, you need to really wake up. You need to understand that this could be, if you take a reflection at your life and you realize wow, I am working a ton of hours and I'm starting to experience this, you may be starting to experience burnout.
Well, and it can affect your health. And that's a big part. If you don't listen to the signs and if you don't, like Monique said, you don't really know, right? Then pay attention because it can affect your health drastically.
It's crazy. I mean, it affects your health in a way you stop taking care of yourself, to be really honest. You start really forgetting or not putting yourself first. You don't even drink your water or care that you're eating crap food. You it's almost like you stop caring. A
Going through the
massive,
motions, right? Just
yeah,
like
like functioning like just a robot and just not really paying attention to the things that you normally would pay attention to when you're in a good place in your life. And it's easy to slip into because we're in such a fast-paced life now. I mean, let's face it, social media can be grueling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they have to keep up. And, one of the things that I think is really important that you notice if you compare yourself a lot and you're comparing yourself to other people, that whether you're in network marketing like I was, or I had a physical business that I burned out of, and then I burned out of 2 digital businesses. And I was constantly comparing myself to other people, so that in that comparison, I just worked and worked and worked and worked. And I just kept my head down and I ignored everything else.
Which is so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy. And like you said, your life in general, your relationships, everything starts to suffer.
Well, yeah. And so some ways to manage this. Here's a couple of things that I started to put into place. And I'm going to be honest, this took me, I'm on round 3. Round 3. I didn't learn it the first time. I didn't learn it the second time. And I finally learned it the third time. Third time's a charm, right? The third time, I started to really look back and say, okay, this is a repeat problem in my life. What are the issues? And I had to dig deep and look at some core problems. And I will say one of the biggest things that I had to really look at was my identity to success, and also my identity to what that means and looks like.
Right.
So, and when I could look at that and not make that equivalent to money, then I was able to work on the other things. But if I didn't work on that core issue of if I don't make this much money, I'm not a success, I was never going to be happy. And I was always going to be repeating the same issue. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have goals to make it, guys, just so you know. I'm saying that you can have an outcome, but you can't be attached to it. And if you are going to cause yourself burnout, most likely, because you're just going to keep going and going and going and going without taking rest.
Well, and the attachment, right? That's one thing that I have learned in other areas of life, to have a goal, move forward to it, and practicing that non-attachment. That in itself is a lesson and is a practice for everything. And for me, that's something that I constantly work on. But so tell me, Monique, not being attached to it, speaking about that, how did you change your mindset?
Slowly. I'm not a fast learner. So, one of the things I started to ask myself, and you guys, you have to understand, like, my marriage almost was over because of it. My health I became pre-diabetic because I ignored everything in my life. And I had to ask myself some serious questions, like, what was most important? What are my values and what is most important to me? And first and foremost, I am a big believer without family and people around you that love you, it doesn't matter. The world doesn't make a difference. Like, it doesn't matter. And secondly, if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
No.
You could be a billionaire, but if you're dying because you are not well, it doesn't matter. So I had to kind of reprioritize and look at my life and ask myself some tough questions that were hard, because I am an achiever. I like to win. I just do. And say, you know what? What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you don't do this?
Right. That's a great question to ask yourself. I ask myself that on a daily basis.
And I was like, you know what? You're not going to end up homeless. You're not going to end up in a gutter. I had all these stories that I had created that if I don't do this, then this will happen. And I was like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Cause and effect.
Yeah. And then what's the best thing that's going to happen? And so I said, okay, time to start setting some boundaries for myself. So here's the thing. We set a lot of boundaries for other people, but we are real shitty about doing it for ourselves. And I had to really ask myself those tough questions and say, okay, what do you want your life to really look like? Because you say you're preaching to all these people that they can have a freedom-based life, and then you're on your phone 16 hours a day and ignoring your family and your friends. And I was like, this isn't healthy. So I had to make some real boundary choices. And just that question is a real mind shift. Like I asked, like you said, I ask myself that constantly, like, is this taking me towards the life I want? Is this the best choice for me? You know? And so when I started to ask those questions, and like you said, even on a daily basis, things started to shift for me. And I got really, really deliberate with my time. That was one thing that I really started to say, okay, you don't need to be chasing it for 12 hours. Like that's not going to get you more.
And being available for 24 hours a day, right? That's one of the big ones. It's like, oh my gosh, don't miss out, answer in 2 seconds. And it's become that way though. If you don't respond, not you, but if one doesn't respond in like less than a minute, people are like, you okay? What's wrong? Where's my answer? And setting boundaries around that, I think, is so important.
I actually frame it now. I'm not available after this time. So know that if you do message me, I won't get back to you till the next day.
Right.
I actually tell people that now when I'm talking to them because they need to know. And here's the thing, guys, we think that they need us like ASAP. They're like, okay, cool. Because they have lives. I hate to break it to you. They have lives. They aren't burning themselves out. They're watching TV and hanging out with their family and doing the stuff they need to do at night. They don't expect it. We think they expect it.
But I think it also fosters respect because if we're always available, it seems desperate. It seems you want to be professional, and any professional, I mean, lawyers, doctors, when I say professional, I mean, the more traditional professional professions, I guess, they have boundaries, right? They close their off. They don't answer unless they're on call. So it's why be available 24/7?
Because we have this hustle belief somewhere along the line. I call it bro culture. I'm just going to say that. I call it bro culture. So there was this bro culture thing that happened, like hustle, 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 hustle. Now, I know. I'm going to tell you, you do need to work your face off to get successful. Anybody that tells you that you can just say a mantra and believe it and it'll happen, you're not going to rub two crystals together and the world isn't going to show you a bunch of money. It's just not going to happen. What? But you don't have to be available 24/7. You don't have to work 24/7. So look at your calendar. And if you don't know how to manage time, we have a great course that we have for everyone.
Yes.
And we will be getting those links to you soon. But if you don't know how to manage your time, learn to prioritize and understand that it can happen tomorrow. The world isn't going to blow up.
Exactly.
And that was like a big shift for me because it's weird because I have posture, but I yet also want to help people and I want to be liked on some certain level. I think everyone does. And so I would take that to the extreme, right? The likability thing. So, and the service thing too much. So having those boundaries around people is really, really important. One of the other things that I think really helped me was I made self-care a priority.
Yeah.
I take a break in the middle of the day. Like it is not negotiable unless it's crappy out. But even then I just take a break and I don't feel bad about it. People take lunch breaks all the time. They take an hour lunch break on a 9 to 5. There's a reason they give people an hour lunch break every 4 hours.
And you're more productive and you can focus and you can regroup and you can re-energize and, just take that break. Absolutely.
So so making sure that I took breaks and then taking rest. I will be honest. I used to have a really big problem going on vacation. Huge problem. I always felt I had to be at the office. I felt this sense of guilt and I was, I should be doing this. I should be there. And I just said, you know what? No, it's okay. If you have a nonstop business where it's hard for you to walk away, then you need to maybe find someone to help you when you need to walk away, hire an assistant, delegate, make sure those tasks are taken over, or just let people know, hey, I'm going to be gone. And unless it's an emergency, and I mean a straight up emergency, please don't connect with me. I need to take this time away because I can't come and serve you the best as I can if I don't allow myself to have rest. And again, most people understand this. And people actually applaud it now, I think, because I think burnout is, you're not just seeing it in entrepreneurship, you're seeing it in corporate world. I mean,
Absolutely. I see a lot of that actually in corporate world because it's such a dog eat dog world and the hustle. I actually do not like that word because I do, like you said, I do believe that we have to work hard, but the hustle has become work 24/7, go, go, go. For what? So you get sick and burn out and you can't enjoy the journey. And that's a big part of it for me, taking a step back is, enjoying the journey, enjoying every part of it, and really reflecting back. I feel like I can be a lot more intentional what I do. If it's just go, 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 you just have your eye on the prize and you don't see anything along the way. And that's what was really apparent for me, is it was literally just straight without enjoying and stopping and appreciating the small steps along the way.
And I'm going to say this, and I might ruffle some feathers with this one, especially in the network marketing world. So you need to understand that other people's agendas are not your problem. So I got fed a lot of things through my career, a lot of different, no BV and TV. Like that's one that sets out like right away in my career. Like I wasn't allowed to watch TV anymore. Like basically like you should just work this 24/7. And that mentorship in a way ingrained those stories in me. And then it produced this guilt. And so ask yourself who you're surrounded with, because if they're not looking at you and saying, yeah, rest is good and you should take some time and we'll be here to help, then those people maybe don't have your best interests in mind. Right. And so I started to really look at my surroundings and people that I surrounded myself with as well. And I shifted a lot of that so that I could surround myself with people in mentorship and in coaching who understood that family and fun is really, really important in life, and that we don't necessarily need to sacrifice one for the other.
And slowing down. I mean, I always ask myself, if I'm working 24/7, then what can I enjoy? I remember being in Europe, and I am from Europe, so I go to Europe a lot. I remember once I was with my kids and my daughter said to me, Mom, why are you on your phone all the time? And we were in, I think it was in Italy. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, you're right. It's stupid. It's really stupid. And I think this is such an important topic because, again, I think when we're so immersed in it, we can't even see it. We're just so in it and we think it's normal, but it's not normal. It shouldn't be normal anyway.
Well, and I like this, there are times in your business where you might push harder, right? There may be like, okay, I got a 15-day like deadline and I'm going to push hard for these next 15 days, but then I'm taking 3 days off.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so it's that finding that balance, like whatever that works for you. Me, I don't work 1 day a week. It's just hard pressed for me. I need a day where I am not working. I am doing everything else, whether it's life or whether it's enjoying, I just don't work. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm very upfront that is something that I need. And I realized I needed, because if I don't, I will roll over and roll over and roll over with the work, because I'm a doer and I will cause myself burnout. So if a coach tells me you have to work 7 days a week, I'll say, you know what, I respectfully decline.
You're the wrong coach for me.
No, I'll say, that's your belief, but here I've experienced burnout and that's not healthy for me. So I have to take some time off. Fun is like really important to me. I believe work hard, play hard, right? These contraptions will basically hypnotize you if you allow them, right? These phones of ours, the computer
scroll.
The whole. And you have to just be more mindful of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And meditation, I wish I was so much better about it. I'm getting better. I'm using Insight Timer again, which if you don't know is a super app if you're into meditate or just want a way to keep track of it, because it helps you keep track of when you meditate. And they have so many different ones, right? Like they have gratitude and manifestation and all these other things that you can do guided. You don't have to like sit there and by yourself if you can't. But that app is helping me to get back into a regular meditation session. And it doesn't, you guys, here's the thing. You don't have to meditate for like an hour. Like I do for like 10, 15 minutes in the morning, maybe 20 if I'm, that's kind of where I am. I know you meditate a lot longer, Sandy.
Well, and I do it, but I've also meditated since the age of 7 and pretty
Yeah.
much every day. I've helped several people start with meditation because I just really feel it's such a good thing. If you start with 2 minutes, honestly, it's fine. It's about slowing down and stopping and really reflecting and building that muscle, getting into the habit of it. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter. There are days that I meditate 45 minutes. There are days that I still only meditate 15 minutes, but there's always time to meditate. And that's something, there's always time to meditate. I used to actually tell myself that, so I don't have time today. Well, there's this saying, and I'm sure you've seen it. If you think you don't have time to meditate, you need to meditate twice as long, because I really, truly believe that.
Well, it's because there's the anxiety inside of you that you can't or won't. And I tell people, you don't, it's not that you don't, it's that you won't. And I honestly, it's now I'm setting a timer. Like, okay. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be in the morning. Like, it's ideal if it's in the morning, because it does set me up. But sometimes I just forget, or it's just not part of my habit yet. I'm like, okay, I didn't meditate yet. I'm still going to do it today. And I do it in the afternoon.
It's fine.
And for me, even like walking can be a meditation. Like, I'll do a walking meditation because that's very calming.
There's some great walking meditations.
Yeah. So there's so many different ways to do that. And I really feel like bringing that piece in also helped me slow down myself. And I'm actually exploring, and it's funny, we talked about this once before on a podcast. I'm exploring cold showers again. I've been doing a lot of research on how it neurologically changes you. And I'm like, you know what? Do I want to be like ice plunging? Maybe not. I may not go to that extreme, but I can put the shower on ice cold. It does something to your nervous system that allows you to react differently. And again, that's a mindfulness thing. And I'm doing that again. I mean, maybe it's for 30 seconds or 15 seconds, whatever I can do. And I'm going to get up to whatever I think it's a minute they say is optimal. And I'm going to do that as well, because I feel like there's still a part of me that is like, I have that propensity to be a burnouter. Like, I want to go, 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 go. And some of it's because I get so excited and I'm like, I got to do this so much. You have such a drive, right? If you're a driven kind of individual and you just get so excited, you get a little bit caught up in it all. You kind of get caught up in it all and you forget to take that step back and be more mindful. So I'm looking into other ways to help me be more mindful besides meditation, the cold water, and, things like that. So
taking care of yourself. And like you said, taking the day off and not turning the phone off, maybe, but maybe you do turn the phone off. I mean, it just depends. I do know a leader in the industry, the company that Monique and I both are in. She once said that, and she had little children. She would say that from 4 to 7, she's not available because it's kid time. And on Sundays, she completely turned her phone off. She was at the time very successful. I'm like, well, I can do that when I'm successful, but what does that even mean? When you're successful, it's too late, because not too late, but you need to, like I said, enjoy the journey. So, and I think delegating certain things, if you do, there are things that take you 10 times as long if you're in a position to delegate or to get help, right? And it doesn't matter if it's around the house or with the business, whatever that it is, but there's definitely things you can do to lighten the load.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not in that position, then ask yourself, what's the most important things to do today to make sure that I move my business forward? Because sometimes the stuff that you are like flipping out about, that like, oh my God, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. You're like, it really isn't going to move your business forward. If you are on Canva for an hour, buy the templates. Like right now, I'm like, I do not want to spend the time doing all this. I know how to do it all, but I'm like, first of all,
where I want to put my time.
Right. And I'm supporting another entrepreneur, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to buy from a woman entrepreneur.
Exactly.
I'm going to support her business. She's put in the time and the work. And I'm like, I would rather help someone do that. The same with my website. I'm like, you know what? I can do it, but it's not where I want to put my time. Right. There are some things that I'm like, you know what? This is better served. And I will be supporting another entrepreneur. And I would rather give them that. And I can do what I'm good at and what is going to build my business.
Exactly.
But I think, here's the thing, Sandy, I will say this. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I think the lack mentality is, well, if I had to do it, then it's going to cost me money.
Exactly.
But
and
there's
looking at it as an investment.
Yeah. It costs you more than you think. Let me just tell you, it costs you more than you think.
It costs you time, it costs you energy, it costs you frustration. No, absolutely. And I think just in wrapping up, I think it's also really important. And this is something that I've never done, and I'm just literally now starting to implement, but celebrating the small successes along the way. I'm like, okay, great, on to the next. Like not even sitting back and enjoying and being great, which I am always super grateful, but it's like, on to the next app, and like that hustle in this case, to use the word. And I want to get away from that because I just think it's so important, again, to smell the roses along the way.
So I've always said, if you can't find, like, at this point, you find joy in the journey, because destination happiness, guys, I've had it. I mean, that's what caused me burnout. Like when I get here, I can rest. When I do this, I can rest. When I do this, I'll be happy. And guess what? I never rested. Exactly. I never was happy. I was never satisfied. I had this internal have to do more, but it wasn't have to do more. You know what it was? And this is probably going to be a mic drop moment for some of you. It's not that you have to do more. It's that you have to be more. You feel like you have to be more in this world. So you constantly are doing, keeping yourself busy because you don't feel like you're enough. And that's just not the truth of it. You are worthy of who you are right now. I had to look at my self-worth and say, it's not tied up in a business. It's not, that doesn't define me as a person. And when I could make that massive shift about my self-worth, a lot of things changed. And so ask yourself that question. Do you have to do more, or are you trying to be more? And I'm not saying that being a better version of yourself is bad. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, do you feel like you're enough at this time in your life? Can you feel good about who you are and what you're bringing to this world? Do you have that self-worth? And if you don't have it, then start there, because you're never going to feel, you're going to have that constant need, that hunger for doing, achieving, being, and having. And that's not good. That won't actually get you the happiness and peace that you're looking for in your life. And it won't bring success.
No.
It won't, Sandy, because like you said, you just be on to the next thing and on to the next thing, because you feel like, oh, that wasn't, now I got to do this. Now I got to do this. And I was like, that massive shift, if you can do that, just that one piece will change your whole life, and you will be able to then roll the dominoes down for the rest of it.
Absolutely. That was great. Yeah, absolutely. Great tip at the end to wrap it up, because I think it is so, so important. And that's something that I'm in the process of, I'm a little slow on the uptake learning.
We're all a little slow on the uptake. It is what it is.
Oh,
well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us this episode. Again, please make sure that you subscribe. We are working on our website. So once all that information is coming up, we will make sure that we actually update the notes and add that information, because we do have some really great resources for you to tap into. So thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you. Have a great day.